The audience was literally risking their life, running from the different bridges to the theater. Our sound guy died before one of those performances.
One day, my bass player came to me and said, "Oh, our drummer, he lost his hand on the front line."
One of the drummers, you know, U2 never would have given us the concert footage if it was just about them. They weren't interested in that at all. This is about, you know, where Nenad really came down on it, which was so beautiful, was this idea of kind of collective memory, right? And so it's all of these people and their experience and what they really lived through. And so we just wanted to honor that, and we wanted the film to honor that, and that's really what it was. And ultimately,
all of us use music to, you know, protect ourselves, you know, as a kind of shield against all the dark forces inside our head. In Sarajevo, there was war. They were in the middle of it, and they were using music as a shield against actual dark forces.
The message, which I find so beautiful, is what they did in the face of this horrible experience was they used art and music, and it's a celebration of art and the role that it plays in our lives, and as that it's an act of resistance and defiance and community building in the face of this kind of you know, horrific experience that they were having to live through, and it's about the resilience of all of us, and that's a wonderful thing to put out into the world, particularly now, you know, given that it's something that we need to learn and relearn, and we can't quite seem to get right. So.
Special gala at this 73rd Berlinale. I would like to ask Nenad the first question. Could you please?
Well, we started making a film about the end of the last war in Europe, and then war in Europe broke out.
So we had to make all kinds of
So this was
right?
We started working on the film, I think, 6 to 8 months before Ukraine, and then once that happened, it changed many things. Even though the story's still the same, the emotion became much more visceral.
It was a therapy. It was a real therapy for us. For all of us, not just the musicians, but for all the people who are coming to these clubs.
When I heard music of U2 politically, they represent something that I realized in this war, in Sarajevo war, was a personification of our resistance.
With U2 during the war, they really had something to say, you know. That was really important for us.
The most of us refused to talk about siege. We absolutely didn't talk about the siege, maybe even not talk with our children or people around us. And when Bill and Nenad asked me to be a researcher for this documentary, for me it was very demanding, not only in a practical way how to make my big research and how to form the team of researchers, but also how to set things with myself, with my personal memories, with my personal experience.
The one who made things happen back then by caring, by daring, is also central to this project.
And when you watch the movie, you will see that everything what happened in Sarajevo 30 years ago under the siege, it's so deeply and so strongly connected with the events that are happening today.
Actor turned director, and in connection to the last question, I wanted to ask you.
You know, we don't have anything on right now, any doc that we're doing. I actually do have somebody over there researching one, but it's in its early stages. You know, it kind of it was activating a trauma in the people who lived through it. Oh, not yet, but only that we have somebody there who's been doing research for us. So someone who's based in Rome, who's been over in Ukraine back and forth quite a bit recently. So So we'll see what's going to come out of that. I mean, and that's what I was trying to say in the press conference. There's so many stories, right? So it's hard to know what stories we'll end up telling. Like, I couldn't have told you 20 years ago that this story would be one. I hadn't heard it until a couple of years ago, and I fell in love with this story, and so surely there will be a lot of stories that come out of that part of the world. There are a lot of experiences being lived right now, and stories that'll need to be told. So we'll be ready to tell them, and as we hear about them.